The United States sprayed immigrants with Nazi death gas, Britain tortured their own soldiers, France bombed environmentalists, and these aren't even the craziest facts. These aren't conspiracy theories, these are facts. They're documented atrocities, buried for decades. Today, we're going to uncover some of the most gut-wrenching truths that governments erased from your history books. Once you know these, you can't unknow them. And remember that history isn't written by the victors, it's sanitized by them, and just like hand sanitizer, it kills 99.9% of germs, the truth leaving just enough to keep you comfortable, right? But that 1.1%, that's where the real stories live. Stories of betrayal, cruelty, cover-ups. We're gonna dig into government records, survivor testimonies, and declassified files. My name is Bella. You might know me as onlyjayus. If you're ready to see the world differently today and power differently, buckle up, drop a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's rip off the veil. From 1916 to the 1960s, America sprayed over 127,000 Mexican immigrants with Zyklon B, the same gas used in Nazi death camps. Picture 1920s, families crossing the border over for work, stripped naked, herded into rooms literally labeled gas chambers, doused with Zyklon B, gasoline, and DDT. And they called it disinfection, but it was really dehumanization. And there was a 17-year-old, Carmelita Torres, and she said no, sparking the 1917 Bath riots. And here's the real gut puncher, okay? In 1938, German scientist Gerard Peters praised American Zyklon B methods. He later supplied it to the Nazi camps. America didn't just use Nazi tactics, it inspired them. Thousands suffered burns and trauma for decades, right? Like, did you know this? I seriously want to know the answer. Let me know down in the comments. Did you know this? Did your school teach you this, right? Because I think a lot of people today see all the hate and American like ill will towards illegal immigrants. They're so pro-ICE, like pro-deportations. Like, we see this and like, oh, I really think these people think they're doing something new and different and trying to be like a change for whatever. But they're not. They're following in the same exact racist, nationalistic cycle. They're not doing anything but like the same. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, and y'all are doing slam poetry right now. In 1921, we had the first aerial bombing of a US city. American planes firebombed a thriving black neighborhood. Greenwood, Oklahoma. Black Wall Street. It boasted about 600 black-owned businesses, banks, and theaters. It was so prosperous that it shattered white supremacist lies. And when a black teenager in the area was falsely accused of assault, white mobs got their excuse. And for 2 days, they looted and burned 1,000 homes. Planes dropped turpentine bombs, raining fire on fleeing families. And one survivor said, "Our dreams burned to ash, even the birds fled." The Oklahoma National Guard joined the mob and rounded up the survivors at gunpoint. 300 died, 10,000 were left homeless, no prosecution, and Tulsa erased the records. Schools ignored it until 2020, 99 years later. Did you know this? Were you guys aware of this? Were you taught this? I wasn't, but you know, the bombing wasn't the only way America betrayed itself. In 1950, the US Navy turned San Francisco into a biological weapons lab, spraying bacteria over 800,000 residents without their consent. Operation Sea Spray. The Navy released a bacteria that I'm not even gonna try and pronounce right now because y'all know I can't read, but they wanted to track its spread. They called it harmless, but they lied because days later, 11 people were at the Stanford Hospital caught rare infections. Edward Nevin, who was 75, died when the bacteria attacked his heart. His grandson said he trusted his country and it killed him for a test. Declassified 1970s file admitted the bacteria spread to 8 cities. How are we supposed to trust a government that treats its people like lab rats? But here's what's crazy. Britain actually went darker and turned their own soldiers into test subjects. During World War II, while fighting Nazis with chemical weapons, Britain tested mustard gas on its own colonial troops. In an Indian facility, hundreds of soldiers were forced into gas chambers wearing only shorts as scientists watched their skin blister. They weren't volunteers, they were ordered to do so. One soldier wrote, "Naked, choking, crying. We were told this was for our country. It was for betrayal." Many faced severe burns, some needed hospitalizations, no long-term care for them despite mustard gas literally causing cancer. Britain hid the records to protect its noble image. I'm just blown away by all this stuff I've been reading. In 1885, Belgium's King Leopold II turned the Congo into his personal killing field for rubber profits. Rubber profits. Miss your quota of rubber? They're gonna hack your hands off. Oh, you resist? Your village is gonna burn down. Women were held hostage to force men to deliver. One Congolese man testified that he smoked 81 severed hands, not for food, but to prove murder. 10 million were dead. Half of the population was gone, and a missionary wrote piles of hands rotting in the sun. This was a war with terror. Leopold ran all of this from a Brussels palace while Europe ignored the genocide that was fueling their industrial boom. Does it sound familiar? But you know, empires weren't the only ones that were experimenting on the helpless. In the 1940s and 50s, Canada starved the Indigenous population, the Indigenous children population in residential schools to study malnutrition. Over 1,300 kids were deliberately underfed. Some got vitamins, others got nothing. Dental care was withheld to see how starvation wrecked the teeth. One survivor said, "We weren't children, we were experiments." Many suffered permanent health damage. Some died. The research used for Canada's food guide. They starved kids to write a nutrition policy. Canada buried this to hide its residential school horrors. That's not even the worst thing they did, but you know, Canada wasn't alone in turning its victims into tools. While preaching anti-colonialism, America bankrolled France's war to keep Vietnam colonized. They spent $2 billion from 1950 to 1954. Eisenhower's domino theory fueled it, fearing that communism would spread. Ho Chi Minh sought U.S. support for independence, but his Marxism made him a target. America funded 80% of France's war, betraying its own anti-colonial roots. When France lost at the Dien Bien Phu, Vietnam split, sparking America's own disastrous war. And history likes to gloss over this one because it exposes Cold War hypocrisies, but like, it's pretty important to why the United States went to war, right? But the hypocrisy wasn't even the worst. It was training killers at the same time. That's right, the US ran a school that taught torture and assassination to Latin American officers, who led death squads that went on to kill thousands. The School of the Americas, now known as the WHINSEC, trained 60,000 soldiers since 1946. Its manuals taught questioning techniques, code for torture, and there were graduates from there that led atrocities. In El Salvador, the SOA trained soldiers massacred 800. In Guatemala, they targeted indigenous communities. Archbishop Omar Romero's 1980 murder was tied to the SOA alumni. And WINSEC still operates. According to an American Watch report in 2023, it has human rights concerns still lingering, right? But America wasn't alone in sanitizing its image. I don't know what it was about American schools, but they taught us that Rosa Parks was just some like old woman who just didn't want to give up her seat on the bus. She was just sick and tired of it, and that's what it was. But that's a myth. Rosa Parks was a 42-year-old NAACP activist who planned that 1955 bus protest to spark a revolution on purpose. They trained at a Highlander folk school. She investigated cases like the 1944 gang rape of Reese Taylor. Her refusal to move wasn't spontaneous, right? It was calculated. The only tired I was, she said, was tired of giving in. Her arrest launched the Montgomery bus boycott, with Martin Luther King Jr. on the rise. Why was she written as so passive? She was a radical black woman. Was that too threatening for white audiences even years later, right? I mean, when I learned that, it changed my view of the civil rights movement a little bit. How about you? In 1985, French agents bombed a Greenpeace ship in New Zealand, killing a photographer to hide their nuclear tests. Under Operation Saint-Qui, agents planted mines on the Rainbow Warrior to stop protests. France denied it until New Zealand police caught the two agents. They paid $7 million, but they couldn't erase the truth. A civilized nation murdered an activist for military secrets. This galvanized the anti-nuclear movement, but it's very downplayed to protect France's image. That's just 10 atrocities right there. Gassing immigrants, bombing cities, starving kids, funding colonialism, training killers. This is the history that they didn't bet on you finding out, right? So smash that like button if you're just as shocked as I am, and let me know down in the comments, seriously, if you knew any of this stuff, if your school taught it, and where you're from, because each state is different. But I want you to know why this really matters. This is more than just a history lesson, okay? Because something I learned recently about how history is taught in America is we're taught the things that happened and the names and the dates, and we're just told to memorize it. We're not told to apply it, and I'm trying to change that. These aren't just old stories. These are patterns. When power feels threatened, it turns to violence. When that violence gets messy, it gets erased. Does it sound familiar? The same institutions committing these crimes write your history books. Every government has blood on its hands, right? But the difference is who hides it better. These truths survived because survivors, journalists, and families refuse to be silenced. This isn't about the past. It's about spotting power lies today. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. The same patterns, the same violence, the same erasure are happening right now. Migrant kids were kept in cages. Civilian bombings are swept under the rug. You can accept that sanitized story, or you can question it. You can share these facts with people, or you can just keep the video silent, right? Dig into your country's secrets. I promise you, you're gonna learn a lot. The truth doesn't spread itself, and they're counting on your silence. Don't give it to them. I would love to make more of these, so please, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like. You know what? If we get to, let's say
500 likes.
If we get to
500 likes,
I will stream every day for an entire week, and we can just come up with video ideas, and we can do some research, and we can just talk this through live versus just this edited YouTube video, okay? I really do hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. We're almost to 5 million. That'd be really cool to hit. If you did enjoy the video, let me know why down below. I'm so open to constructive criticism. And remember, the most dangerous thing to power is an informed you, okay? So every share, every comment cracks their wall of lies. And I'd like to keep digging with you, okay? So stay there, stay aware. I'll see you next time.